What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the final edition of the NBA Slate Starter Podcast for the 2020-2021 NBA season. I'm Eric, joined with my buddy Ryan, as we break down the 8-game Friday NBA DFS slate on DraftKings and FanDuel. Ryan, we have not missed one day. We have not missed one day since December 22nd of an NBA Slate Starter, Monday through Friday. Not a single day. We are the Cal Ripken Jr. of Awesemo.com, I believe. I'll be Cal Ripken. You could be Cal Ripken Jr. You're my son. That's what it is at this point in time. Rayen Patnaik, how's tonight going for you?
Tonight was a very, very interesting slate after Sabonis got injured. Obviously, we got JaVale McGee's super value open up for us, but it really didn't matter if you didn't roster Justin Holiday, TJ McConnell, Giannis, and you're going to need Stanley Johnson to come first place tonight because people rostered him, and they went to him as soon as Gary Trent Jr. and Chris Boucher did not start. So kudos to them. That ended up being a sharp play at 1%. Stanley Johnson, just mixing and matching your value could work out for you. So we saw what happened. It's just another a regular season in May 13th. Just crazy regular season in May. Hopefully we don't have to get that again. But going back to your other statement, we just chugged through this. I know when we first came on, we really hadn't done much shows at all. So
I'd done 0 shows at that point in time, so the grand total was 0.
And since then, you've done a couple hundred, it's feel like. So
probably close.
For me, I hadn't even done 50 shows up to then. So I want to say thank you to the audience for being supportive of us throughout the year. A lot of your support's been really helpful for us to grow. On to Friday we go.
On to Friday we go. Your internet skipped for a second. It wouldn't be a final show of the NBA Slate Starter Podcast without a little bit of a hiccup from Rich Man, FanDuel champion over there as of last night. Congrats on that, my dude, of course. Well-deserved. You're pretty good at NBA DFS, but to the audience out there, just thank you so much for embracing me, embracing Ryan, allowing us to basically start your day off, start your process off, talk through some plays, hit and miss here. We were a little bit of a moving target trying to figure out what we wanted to say, what we wanted our platform to be, and you guys gave it to us. We didn't even have to do any of the work. We just had to show up. And so truly so thankful for this opportunity. Looking forward to serving you throughout the playoffs in whatever capacity, in articles, in shows on Awesemo. We'll be around, I'm pretty sure. But Ryan, we're also sponsored today. We can't forget we have a sponsor, and we really appreciate them sticking with us the last couple months here. MonkeyKnifeFight.com. Head on over there. Use that promo code AWESEMO. That's Awesemo. Get $100 first deposit match bonus. That's $100 free dollars coming back into your account to use on NBA, MLB, NHL, MMA, golf. All of the goodies they have. It's a prop-based gaming, depending on what the multipliers you can gear up for are. Use some of the projections over at Awesemo with your Awesemo Plus membership and really put it to work. MonkeyKnifeFight.com. Thank you so much for sponsoring us. Happy to have you alongside us. But Ryan, are you ready to get going for the last time, my dude?
It's going to be a wild, wild final Friday regular season slate as some of these games are going to be meaningless. But we'll get to it. Let's ride.
I dedicate tonight to my Lord and Savior, TJ McConnell. Broke his hand and just showed up in a second half. I mean, what a goat. What a goat, right?
Absolutely sensational. And I believe I'm pretty sure TJ McConnell rostered himself in his lineups today. So he did not down as McConnell was sensational. Obviously, many people were notified with that injury in the hand, and he was doing really well because he played every single minute on the court up until that point. And then, you know what? He comes back and just pretty much crushes. But his teammate fortunately got hurt in Sabonis. He dodged a pretty serious.
Yeah.
What ends up happening with his injury, I think he'll be just fine.
You think he'll be fine? Okay, good. These are good things. Well, we're not going to be fine tomorrow because tomorrow and Saturday and Sunday are going to be just the absolute Wild West. Like, I'm just preparing. Sunday especially. I mean, with every team in action, it's going to get weird. But it's a Russell Westbrook slate. Have you seen his price tag on DraftKings until this moment? No? $12,800. $12,800 for Russ Westbrook on DraftKings. Yeah, that's the look I was looking for. Luka Doncic, $10,800. God, what a just difficult human being to get a gauge on, but finally saw a little bit more of what he's capable of in that absolute blowout against New Orleans. they've just been in so many blowout games. I mean, they got blown out by Memphis. They blew out New Orleans, blew out Cleveland, blew out Cleveland again. I mean, it's just been nuts. So, Luka, good to see him get back on the right side of 55, 56.5 total there. Steph Curry, big Q tag next to him. We're going to be saying that a lot as we're going down the line with some of these plays. There are a lot of people out. There are a lot of Q tags to navigate, but I think we can do a pretty good job. Talk to me about the top end of point guard.
Yeah, you let it off with Russ. How could you not enjoy rostering Russ Westbrook tomorrow? Still no Bradley Beal. I mean, 12-8. Is it too cheap still? You can make a strong case it still is. So
yes,
we know what Russ has been doing, and there should be plenty of value for him to come out and pay that off for us tomorrow. We'll probably get into it, but other guys, I mean, he's in a matchup versus Cleveland. Keep in mind, this Cleveland team was one of those teams that limited him under 50 points about a month ago or so at this point, but keep that in mind, but it doesn't matter. I still think Russ should just eat. Pivoting down to Luka Doncic in tournaments, look, Russ continues to be highly owned. He's just one ankle roll away from just ruining your lineups.
What? Don't do that. Why would you do that? Why would you say that? But if he's 65% owned, he doesn't have a 35% chance of having an ankle roll, and that's why you're fading him. Are you really going to do that on our last show? You're going to call out a Russell Westbrook? If he turns his ankle, can you imagine the bottom comment section here as this is sitting here for 6 months if he gets hurt tomorrow?
Or he's a Udonis Haslam 2 texts in 2 minutes situation.
That was awesome, though. That was awesome. Welcome back, Udonis. Missed you.
He pulled his inner Zinedine Zidane and just wanted to make it known. I was like, wow. He went after Dwight Howard right away. It got personal real quick. But going back to Russ, I mean, yeah, I still think that ownership is going to be potentially even higher tomorrow just because of the value, more certain value that should open up for us. But pivoting down to Luka in tournaments, yeah, I mean, if you want to take those risks, go for it. I mean, I think I will too. But other guys in the guard spot, I believe Curry's not going to play tomorrow with this Memphis win. It pretty much secures that matchup for them. So I think other point guards that stand out in Sacramento, we'll see what happens with guys in that matchup. I think we can go to Delon Wright, but other guys like Jordan Poole is pretty solid. It's going to be so tough to pinpoint with all the news that breaks throughout the day, but I feel like Jordan Poole is a pretty solid guard option for us to take advantage of. I don't know what Philly's going to do on a back-to-back with potentially. I don't think Embiid will play. Maybe we can play Simmons. In Houston, there's a guy in Kyrie Thomas. So there's so much that's up for grabs, and it's only fitting this is the final show just because we only know so much, and especially tomorrow. I think tomorrow, out of any slate, we know the least about who's going to play and who's going to sit.
I had no idea who I was going to roster when we started Live Before Lock today. I did Live Before Lock with Greg, and I just flat out said ahead of time, I was like, I have no idea who's going to be on my rosters in like 55 minutes. And then we got JaVale McGee starting, and I didn't in a million years imagine having 65% JaVale McGee at any point in the last, 3 months. So that was an interesting thing to show up in the starting lineup, and he played great. It was awesome. But yeah, point guard, it could be just anywhere. I can basically say, though, with pretty strict confidence, though, that there's guys like Orlando. We can just kind of write off Cole Anthony and RJ Hampton from Orlando up against Philly. Anybody who's kind of in that mid-fives on a team that has nothing to play for, it's really hard to want to go there on a slate like this because we're going to get some studs who do play, like Russell Westbrook has a meaningful game. Luka Doncic, I think Dallas still has a lot that they're still jockeying for position, it looks like. So we're going to have some studs to pay up for. It's going to be hard to get to them without playing dudes on the bottom end, and there are going to be so many of them that are playable at 3K, 4K. So I will say that's going to be one thing that I'm probably not going to be talking about too much. But anybody else at point guard for you?
Yeah, just scrolling down the list over there on FanDuel. Point guard, I believe Conley and Clarkson Conley might play tomorrow, so I don't know how I feel about that even. We'll see what Denver does with Facundo Campazzo. It might be his show. That's an option there. but it's ugly. Maybe in the Clippers, maybe we get the limited Clippers where we get Reggie Jackson running the show, or Rondo. Maybe Rondo's an older guy, so I doubt it. It's tough. It's just how things are for the third to last day of the regular season. So it's going to be like this. Just pay attention to the news and pick and choose your spots outside of Russ. The opportunity cost is Russ. So at this point, it's going to be tough to not to love Russ.
Just play Russ. He's not 13K. I'm going to just play Russ. It's hard to find that kind of a guarantee. But I guess Stanley Johnson is on this slate. So which one has a higher ceiling? Russell Westbrook or Stanley Johnson? Definitely Stanley Johnson, right?
More times than not, yeah. Stan the man, right? Yeah, it's Stanley Johnson for sure. I mean, how could you not love Stanley Johnson coming off a monster performance? I think he's going to double that fantasy production tomorrow. So no questions asked. I expect 130-point fantasy DraftKings performance from him.
Double it up.
Shattering. What?
I said doubling it up. Just, double up the 65 he put up tonight. Unbelievable. It's still just insane. But to the top end of shooting guard we go over on FanDuel. Bradley Beal out. Fred VanVleet out. Donovan Mitchell out. Colin Sexton, your highest priced shooting guard on FanDuel. 7,800. You're going to be punting by default. And then you have Paul George, who's probably going to rest. He's listed as questionable. Andrew Wiggins, who's probably going to rest. He's questionable. So your next guy is none other. I mean, it wouldn't be a final Slate Starter podcast of the season without Buddy Hield being the second most expensive shooting guard, who's probably going to play tomorrow over on FanDuel at 7K. Played 34 minutes here against Memphis tonight. What is your Buddy Hield interest tomorrow? And talk about the rest of the shooting guard position.
If he plays, you got to love Buddy Hield, man. He's been rock solid without De'Aaron Fox. How it's turned for Buddy Hield. Did he crack the 8K price range at this point?
He's at 7K now. He's 7K on FanDuel. But yeah, he did crack 8K when he was on this little heater where they were actually like competitive and making a push for that 10 seed. They're not going to get there, and I think they're out of consideration now after losing. But Indiana, he played 40 minutes. He played 37. I'm curious what teams like Sacramento are going to do now, because they've been giving guys like Wright and him a lot of run. James played a lot today. What's his face?
Justin James.
Justin James played a ton of minutes today.
And
he's
he balled out.
3,500. He balled out. He played 32 minutes, 40.8 fantasy points at shooting guard. And that was the guy that I was like, I want to bring him up on this podcast today, because that's somebody that we've never said the name of one time all year. And that's the kind of slate you're looking at tomorrow.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, he might be like too cheap, honestly. There might be other value plus players that you can have more confidence and perform better. It's the nature of the slate. And, he did get hot. I saw what he was doing. He was just feeling himself. So I don't suspect that to hold up again, but definitely could happen as a spend on option. I don't fault you for to mix and match your low owned guard value. That makes a lot of sense. We'll see what Steve Kerr has to say. They did sign Gary Payton the second, so they call him the Mitten, right? As in
the Mitt 2. Second edition, like a Top Shot. Give him a badge.
But he might get a lot of run tomorrow as well. So there's a lot of things that can happen. But I feel like on the shooting guard, who we feel confident is going to get minutes, are guys like Colin Sexton, Buddy Hield, Kyrie Thomas. The Utah situation is going to be interesting. So those guys feel a lot. Dallas needs to win. So Tim Hardaway Jr. makes a lot of sense. So these guys are all going to be in play as shooting guard options for sure. So. And if those guys are out in the Clippers, like guys like Kennard and Terrence Mann are solid options as well.
Yeah, they all look good there. Isaac Okoro, 5,800. He's a rookie. He's played 42 and 36 minutes. They just keep giving him a lot of minutes. So guys like that are going to be plays because they are newer to their team. They're obviously invested in these guys. Kevin Love went off, so what do I know? I don't know everything. But Isaac Okoro, definitely a 5,800 against Washington. Great matchup. A spot where I think the minutes are more guaranteed than most other players at the position. I would rather go there. Armani Brooks played 36 minutes. He's 5,500 on FanDuel. I think you can take some shots there, but like Eric Bledsoe has been a play here for a while, but with the Pelicans completely out of it, you can literally see how those minutes decline. 40 minutes to 33 to 29 to 26. It's only go down from there for some of these guys. So that's really the thing to be super cognizant of. But Gary Trent didn't even play. Chris Boucher didn't even play. They're here on a back-to-back. 4,900 Gary Trent. I would have to assume that he is going to start and play a bunch tomorrow, wouldn't you say?
I don't know. I'd be actually shocked if he does play. I feel like they've just mailed in the season at this point.
Interesting. I thought that maybe they were just resting him and Boucher, and now they're going to just play him on the second half of the back-to-back. And just
I have no idea what Nick Nurse is doing. I mean, we saw Aaron Baines play today. He rose from the grave.
That's true, we did.
So I have no idea what Nurse is going to do. Now, if they start, if for some reason we get Gary Trent and Boucher starting, yeah, I think I'll have quite a bit of interest in that situation because people were just burned by these guys, and we won't get much recency bias tipping your way tomorrow. So one last time, I'll definitely take my chances if they start. But I'll be really curious what Nick Nurse has to say about those minutes coming up. So that's how I feel about that situation. Other guys in the small forward spot. I mean, Luka has small forward eligibility.
Oh, we're at shooting guard. Do we want to jump over to small forward? I'm ready to jump over.
Oh, I thought we jumped over to the small forward.
No, we did not. We were at shooting guard, but now small forward, yes, because then at the bottom end, because that James dude was 3,200 at small forward over there. He was 3,500 at shooting guard on FanDuel. I was jumping back and forth. I know this is our very first podcast, but I go DraftKings, FanDuel, and then I kind of pick it for the center. But I thought I'd just explain the process on the very last day of work here of us doing this. That seemed nice, but let's do the small forward position. Top end, Luka Doncic is up there. You are dead right about that. 10,800. Bradley Beal out. Michael Porter Jr. Probably going to be back here on the second half of the back-to-back. I would assume so. Playing Denver. He was resting today. Kawhi Leonard not probably going to play. I mean, get ready for some weird Clippers to be playing tomorrow. I will say that. Going back to that last position, there's a guy named Jay Scrubb who they signed who played 4 minutes at the end of the game, and I was like, you know what? We're going to probably have some Jay Scrubb in our lineups tomorrow if we're going to get Kawhi and Paul George out, and they're not going to play any of their dudes. I'd like to think it'd be Terrence Mann. It was Terrence Mann last year in the bubble, but it's probably going to be that random dude named Jay Scrubb, who's probably just a scrub. And then, anyway, small forward position. Buddy Hield's up there at 8K. Tobias Harris, the most disappointing person on earth, at 7,400. And last but not least, Mr. Bogdanovich, who finally put up a dud. Only put up 15 DraftKings points and is up at 7,100. But, hey, I like contrarian stances. Talk to me about the top of small forward.
Yeah, top end of small forward is Luka Doncic and everyone else. In confidence, I feel like Luka's going to play for this Dallas team quite a bit of minutes. But other guys that stand out, if we get news on Harris playing, Michael Porter Jr. playing, yeah, I'll have interest in. Buddy Hield has small forward eligibility for Sacramento. Saddiq Bey, I feel confident that he's going to play quite a few minutes for this Detroit team. So he's not completely out of play. Tim Hardaway Jr., like we mentioned. We'll see what this Houston situation is. I really doubt we're going to see a fully healthy Houston team. They waived Daquan Jeffries this morning, so that's one less body that we don't have to worry about being questionable or in for this Houston team. But honestly, it's pretty darn ugly the way things stand in the small forward spot. I'll have a lot of interest in Kennard, potentially Batum if we get all those guys out. Serge Ibaka. Maybe we get Boogie Cousins fully unleashed potentially tomorrow. Who knows? Over there on FanDuel on the small forward spot, Michael Porter Jr., most expensive small forward. Saddiq Bey is in the mid-tier. Man, it is an ugly, ugly small forward slate. Man, this is an ugly slate, all things put together. Maybe we get a ton of Kent Bazemore minutes. I'll be shocked because he's kind of a veteran. Dorian Finney-Smith is going to be in play just because we're looking for guys who are going to play 30-plus minutes. I think he's going to find his way there. Kenrich Williams got the start last time, was very, very solid. So if he's going to get the start again at that point guard position, we can go to Kenny Hustle. That's it, man. Does anyone else stand out to you for teams that need to absolutely win for seeding that you can go there?
No, not really. Maybe Tim Hardaway Jr. So I've been watching him kind of trend up in minutes. Now he's started to be capped off at 28, 27, 28, 29, the last four. Price tag's at 6K. I think there is some certainty there, but again, this is that kind of slate where I think you play the guys on the top end. You just play Russ, you just jam in Luka, and then you just mix and match because all this low value. I mean, look at Toronto. Look at the Clippers if they're going to rest everybody. Philly, they're playing Orlando. They could win blindfolded more than likely. You have teams like Cleveland, which are out of consideration. Okoro kind of makes some sense, but I guess nobody really on the bottom end we're looking at there. But Golden State, if they're going to rest everybody, I mean, we have so many teams that we're going to be looking at that we have 4K guys that are going to be projected for 30 plus minutes and 30 plus fantasy points with none of the studs on the floor. So I find it tough to want to go into some of the mid-range, even in some of these competitive spots for certain teams. Like, James Johnson, if he were 3K, I'd probably have a little bit, but 24 minutes at 5,300 is kind of impossible to get to whatsoever. That's the same case for Najee Marshall. Same thing. He'll play 30 minutes, but he'd have to go for 40 something to beat out some of these 3 and 4K dudes. But what do you think about that? Anybody else that you see down here, like Pokashevsky, 4,200, could always spike a block upside. He played 32 minutes, wasn't very effective. It was kind of the Kenrich Williams season, and he's 3,800. If he plays point again, I'd have some interest again. He played 33 minutes, so that's probably the main guys in the quote-unquote mid-range, but they're still 3,800 and 4,200. That's like my mid-range tomorrow.
Yeah, it's tough. And full disclosure, you can leave a couple $1,000 maybe on the slate tomorrow, and I think you'll be fine. I think there'll be maybe enough news that we get some teams that are actually going to be full systems go. Maybe we get Denver going to be continue to play on a back-to-back. So who knows? But I think what you said was an excellent point. You got to be news ready and don't just fall for value traps early on like I did today. I did not improve my flexibility. I jumped the Knicks value. Alec Burks was the only one who worked out for me. Guys like Quickly and Peyton didn't. So, and that alone was the reason why I couldn't get enough McGee. I would have liked to have a lot more McGee than I did. So little things like that, just having that flexibility of just news. Sometimes it's going to pan out, sometimes it won't. And then we got the 8 news. So guys like Sarge and Kaminsky opened up today. So that's going to happen again tomorrow, but at much greater scale, it feels like. So that alone, just have like an open, don't be like narrow-minded tomorrow, especially just be like, okay, I got to be able to pivot to this news and move off of these guys. But keep in mind, the studs are pretty safe in Luka and Russ, but everyone else is mix and match value, it seems like.
Rayen Patnaik, Marcus Aurelius over there. A little bit of the Daily Stoic for anybody who knows that. I mean, that's just what it is. Mr. Philosopher. I really loved that. Thank you. I now feel smarter. What I was doing while you were talking the whole time was I was building a lineup where I can play Russ, Luka Doncic, and Jokic all together on DraftKings. It can be done. You just play all 3K dudes, and you get 130-100 player to whatever tickles your fancy. But you can play Russ, you can play Doncic, and you can play Jokic together. So maybe not leaving $2,000 on the table if all 3 are active there, but I will jam those 3 in over and over and over and over and over Marshawn Lynch for everybody just to finish it out. It seemed like fun. Top end of power forward. This is going to go a little bit longer today, but most farewell tours, they take a while, so I'm sorry. A top end of power forward, no Zion, no Pascal Siakam, no Christian Wood, no Draymond Green, more than likely. Draymond Green questionable, don't expect him to play. Kenyon Martin, 7,500. That's going to be kind of a spot to be looking at. That guy's been just rock solid. Houston, shorthanded again. We're going to be going back to the regular cast of characters that we've been playing constantly from Houston. And now, as you said, they dropped Daquan Jeffries, so that's more minutes for everybody. Yay, as if they needed to play anymore. Tobias Harris, 6,900. Kristaps Porzingis, 6,800. He's kind of the interesting wild card. Played 21 minutes. Could we see 26, 27 minutes? And how would that compare to guys on the bottom end? And then slate winner last time, Kevin Love, 6,500. 33 minutes, 54.3 FanDuel points. I mean, I would sign up for that for sure, but can we rely on it again tomorrow? Talk to me about the top end of power forward.
Yeah, looking at top end of power forward over there on FanDuel. All the way to the top, guys like Porzingis stand out. Tobias Harris, KJ Martin Jr. Those guys look like solid options to me. Porzingis, we'll see what those minutes limit looks like. If for some reason we get 30 minutes of Porzingis, he has the potential in 30 minutes to put up 50 fantasy points, and that's going to be really key for tomorrow's slate. So he's an option if we get some full minutes to go. Tobias Harris, against Orlando on a back-to-back. We'll see how much of this Philly team is going to be in play tomorrow. I have no idea what that's going to look like, but it could definitely work out. Other power forwards who I expect to get minutes with no potential Kawhi and Paul George. Is Marcus Morris going to play? I have no clue, but he could play for them and be pretty solid. Other spend down options, Valanciunas on a back-to-back. We have no Plumlee, no Isaiah Stewart. Is it going to be Tyler Cook or is it going to be Jahlil Okafor? Or is it going to be Xavier Tillman, who we go all the way down? All these guys right now feel like very similar plays. No one clearly stands out based on the news that we have right now, but we're just listing off guys who we think are going to be value or have potential to be high scorers on the slate. Other guys in the power forward spot, Sekou Doumbouya, 4,700. He'll be really low owned. Aaron Gordon on the back-to-back.
Popular, I think. There's no Grant. There's no Isaiah Stewart for a personal reason, and then there's no Mason Plumlee. So I think Sekou Doumbouya and Tyler Cook are probably going to be pretty popular tomorrow.
Interesting. I'm going to be curious what Jahlil Okafor comes in at.
You are one step ahead, my friend. One step ahead. Center position, that's the guy. That's the guy to talk about.
Yeah, it's that time of year, but
it's the time of year to play terrible basketball players who have gigantic hands. That's the Jahlil Okafor story.
I think he can hold like 11 tennis balls in his hands or something like that. It's
pretty amazing, actually. That's what I remember most of his time at Duke, but continue on.
And other guys at the power forward spot, Juan Toscano-Anderson, who secured the bag. Good for him. He really has worked his way up the ranks from the G League. He was like actually a camp student and went to the G League and now full-on Warriors NBA contract. Pretty remarkable story. Good for him. We'll see if he's a rotational player next year. Probably will be. He's been pretty solid for them. So he's going to get quite a bit of minutes, I think, with no Draymond Green, no Steph Curry, potentially no Andrew Wiggins also. So that's the power forward spot. Anyone did I miss that you think can score? We're going to play around 30 minutes and score 30 plus fantasy points?
Gee, let me look at 3,500 because that's where they're all going to be at. If you get Denver resting people like Zeke Naji or something, like somebody that I'm looking at. Oh, Alan Smelagic or whatever from Golden State. He's going to be in play probably. He could play a ton of minutes. Him and Juan Toscano-Anderson. I mean, if
they signed Jordan Bell actually as well.
Oh, crap. Really? He's back. Jordan Bell was in Golden State, went to Washington, came back to Golden State. They just need a body, don't they?
Yeah, I think Jordan Bell, I could be wrong. He was on the Wizards. He was on the Wizards. He was also in the Grizzlies. I think he was also in Cleveland as well for a brief stint. I could be wrong, but now he's back to Golden State. It'll be interesting. He used to pull pranks on Mike Brown, which got him in a lot of trouble. I doubt he'll be doing that to save his NBA career now.
Nope, he's probably not going to be. He's going to be well behaved. Freddie Gillespie, I'll throw him into the mix as well. And then depending on what OKC is looking at doing, this is your insane play of the day. But Tony Bradley played 16 minutes after not appearing. He's been randomly playing like 20-minute stints here and there in certain games. On the 6th, he played 20 or whatever. He's a guy that if you were to get 25, 30 minutes of run because they just are punting the game and they don't have any attachment to Tony Bradley for whatever reason, just a 1% tournament guy that could maybe play 26 minutes and break a slate. That's the last one. Would rather play him than Maxi Kleber playing regular minutes, just letting that be known. You ready to round this out at the center position, my dude?
The final position of the final show.
This is the end. No, I don't want to sing. How could you be Mo Harkless? You're welcome. Nikola Jokic, 11,000. Joel Embiid, 10,400. We'll see if Jokic ends up playing. Love it. Joel Embiid, for whatever reason, they decided to lose today by a lot to Miami. It was never even a game. It was a terrible, terrible outing by Joel Embiid. He looked awful. 25 minutes. 12 fantasy points. That was the play of somebody who knows that they're not going to win an MVP, and he's just like ready for the playoffs here at this point. Then you go Porzingis and Olynyk. I guess we haven't talked about Kelly Olynyk. Center position over on FanDuel. I mean, this guy's been kind of incredible here. 8,300 there. Memphis is right above him on FanDuel. Jonas Valanciunas is sitting there over on DraftKings, 7,900. If he ends up playing here on this back-to-back, sweet. Like, sign up for it. Last guy to throw into the mix, Jared Allen, who's been disappointing. We've been trying to roster him, trying to make him a thing. Not a thing lately, but played 32 minutes the last two, and that's a lot of minutes to get on any center at this position, especially if you were to get Embiid or Jokic resting. Talk to me about the top end of center.
Yeah, top end of center. If those studs are resting, I expect Kelly Olynyk to play. He's been absolutely sensational. There's been no question about that. Is Gobert going to play for this Utah team? I'm not sure. So you're going to match up versus Oklahoma City. If he plays, he'll be interesting for sure. Rashawn Holmes left the game early today. I doubt he's going to play tomorrow. That's what it really is on the center slate. I mean, we talked about Jokic. He's an if. Embiid is an if. Other spend down options. Chris Boucher, if he starts, I'll have a lot of interest in Boucher if he starts. But Kelly Olynyk, I feel like seems like the safest center for tomorrow. I feel like he's going to play and he's going to continue to play those minutes. If there's no Christian Wood, no DJ Wilson, those guys continue to be out. But that's how it really is. Honestly, no one else I'll have interest in except Jahlil Okafor. Hopefully Jahlil Okafor gets 48 minutes to run. That means it's going to be 96 fantasy points for him because he's a fantasy beast.
Yes, he really is. I've been waiting to talk about him the entire time because I'm like, is this just?
I'm not sure if he's a fantasy
popular
beast
tomorrow too, right? He's going to be popular.
I don't know how popular he'll be, but I don't know if he is a fantasy beast. I'm sure he's just like a 1.1 fantasy per minute player. But anytime you can roster Jahlil Okafor, yeah, you got to take your chances with Ja. I mean, how can you not?
It's like it's 2016 with the Pellies all over again. It's
he had that. He was on the Pelicans up until 2019. So
he was there for a while.
He obviously had a rough go in Philly, but when given the minutes, Ja can put up numbers offensively. He just would have been a dominant center in the 90s, but not anymore.
Yeah, can't step out and shoot. Those hands are too damn big or something. I don't really know. Tyler Cook, we talked about him, power forward and center eligibility over on DraftKings. But the last guy to throw in, again, Chimezie Metu, played 34 minutes. If you're not going to have Holmes out there, that's more minutes for him. Sacramento looking up and down. There's nobody at a power forward position listed there that's going to be active unless you get Bagley, who's going to be playing possibly, who knows. But Damian Jones would be the other guy there. He ended up playing 23 minutes today, so I think both him and Metu are kind of somewhat viable on this slate. And what is Jones's price over here? I don't want to have him be the last guy that I talk about on like the last player we talk about being Damian Jones, but he is 3,300 over on DraftKings as well. Give me one more center play. Give me like the most ridiculous thing that you can say. Who's the last player we're going to talk about on this podcast for the year?
Most ridiculous center play on the last podcast.
Somebody you might actually have a share of tomorrow in 150.
Oh, I will love Dwight Howard if we get no Joel Embiid.
That's cheating. That's cheating. That's way too good. I mean, obviously, if you get no Embiid, even in 24 minutes, yeah. Give me something nasty. I got it. I know the last guy I want to talk about. DeMarcus Cousins Day. If you get DeMarcus Cousins starting for the Clippers, if they rest Kawhi, if they rest Paul George, if they rest, Serge Ibaka is going to play like, 12 minutes, 14 minutes? It could be DeMarcus Cousins for 26 minutes. Well, how much fun would that be to have DeMarcus Cousins go nuts on Friday night?
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. Some Boogie Cousins. We get to get some Boogie Cousins in our life. But the guy I think I'd take my chances on, if for some reason we get no Kelly Olynyk, give me some Big Cam Oliver.
Yeah.
Big Cam Oliver. He is one thick dude out there running down the court. Cam Oliver in this matchup, he's going to be bodying up Boogie Cousins. Big Cam Oliver versus Big Boogie Cousins. It's going to be some Friday night May regular season basketball.
Let's go. Oh, that's the perfect way to finish. Cam Oliver, 3,500 at the power forward position on FanDuel. Well, we did it. We are done. Ryan, any final words for the people for 2021?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, this being a new show, your guys' support was absolutely phenomenal. Meant a lot to us. One last thing, if you guys want to see the Slate Slaughter come back, please
The Slate Slaughter? The Slate Slaughter.
The Slate Starter come
there it
back.
Is.
leave a review on the Apple Podcast pages for us. Those will go a long way. And hopefully we do make a return come the fall. But honestly, your guys' support was great from the get-go. We really appreciate it. And we kind of grown together with it. So it's been a ton of fun. Lots of fun, lots of learning along the way. So you'll see me and Eric around. We'll be on various shows. Actually, we'll be on tomorrow, back to back. I'll be on the deeper dive with Adam Scher, Ship My Money DFS, and Eric will be
the night.
And Eric will be on Live Before Lock to talk about a wild Friday May NBA DFS slate.
Just play Julio Okafor, win money. I think that's all I'm going to probably have to say on Friday night. But otherwise, everything Ryan said times 100 for sure. I was an unknown. I kind of came into the fantasy industry in the pandemic, which is just an insane thing to do. But it's been a blast, and I couldn't have possibly been here without your support, without Ryan supporting me, without this podcast existing. So thank you to Ryan. Thank you to all of you. Go in that bottom bar and let us know your favorite moment of the entire NBA Slate starter season. Get down. Let's play a little nostalgia on the way out. You know, we'll
give out some week passes. If you guys leave comments, I'll reach out to the team to give out some week passes for you guys for the playoffs if you are not a member of Awesemo Plus. So we'll hand those out for you guys. But also, in speaking of giving out passes, if you want to sign up, we are giving 25% off Awesemo Plus right now. Awesemo.com/promos, 25% off Awesemo Plus Platinum for a month. So if you don't want to miss out on that promotion, if you don't want to, just leave a comment. Well, maybe you'll win a pass from us. So that's all I really have to say. Good luck on this Friday slate. That's all.
That'll do, Chalk Donkey. That'll do. For Ryan, I'm Eric. Thank you so much. Best of luck on Friday.